Hello, darling. I was thinking some stuff, and it seemed worth sharing. I was thinking about the Buddhist teaching that all is transitory. On a superficial level, the idea that nothing lasts forever doesn't really feel very life-changing. Of course, nothing lasts forever. I've read enough about astronomy to know that eventually the sun will swell up into a giant and swallow this planet whole. I've read about the long, cold heat death of the universe. The idea that nothing lasts forever is something that most people might accept as true, but it feels too obvious to actually be very helpful. I called this a Buddhist teaching because that's how it was first presented to me. I met the phrase "all is transitory" in a book when I was about 18. I'm not myself a Buddhist and have never properly studied Buddhism, but the phrase stuck in my head and I kept coming back to it. It seemed like one of those things that a spiritual thinker might ask you to meditate on. It felt like something that we know is true but that we prefer to forget. Much more comforting, after all, to think that something we cared for was going to last forever. Or at least that it might last longer than we did. But we ourselves might never have to suffer living in a world without it. When someone that we care for dies, and we are torn apart by grief, it seems ridiculous to suggest that the idea that all is transitory might be of any comfort to us. Of course it's no comfort. It's no help at all when we're in the middle of the torn apart bit. But grief is a complex process, and I believe that there are certain stages within that grief when the idea that everyone has their mortal span is exactly the point of it all, the precise point that we are coming to an acceptance of. That torn apart stage, which it feels like we'll never make it through, that too is transitory. That too ends, just like everything ends. But the real power of the phrase does not actually come when working through profound grief. It is the minor day-to-day things. It's the mug that shatters on the floor, or the t-shirt that finally falls apart. It's opening up an app to find that they've updated it and moved all the menus and controls around. It's that show you like not getting a second season, or it's watching the second season and not liking it nearly as much as the first. It's like the tarot card. It doesn't mean death. It means change. Change is the present becoming the past, and the arrival of a new present that we never asked for, in a ceaseless churn that chips away at the things we used to have and the way we used to live. The word transitory is well chosen. It means in transition, just passing through, like every present moment, here and gone, always changing. Of course, change is sometimes welcome. Sometimes the thing that ends is a bad thing, and the new thing is better. It's nice when that happens, and we revel in those moments. We embrace the new, better thing, and we hope that it lasts, even though we know it can't. So, if all is transitory is a truth that we prefer to forget, then what possible value could there be in me reminding you of it? Why am I even talking about this? Why is this a phrase that, throughout my life, I have kept coming back to? The reason that I am choosing to talk about this is that this little piece of Buddhist wisdom has helped me, time and again. When times are tough, if things feel hopeless, it reminds me that these bad times are transitory, because all is transitory. That this too shall pass, and better times will follow. When times are good, and I'm happy with my life, it reminds me to pay attention to those things that are making me happy. It reminds me to appreciate them while I have them. Not to take them for granted, but to fully enjoy them while I can. It reminds me to live in the present, not to spend my weekends worrying about next week. Like I said, I have never properly studied Buddhism. I may not have learned from this phrase what I am supposed to learn from it. I fully confess to being some way yet from a state of enlightenment. All I know is that this little phrase has helped me lead a happier life. And that's all I ever wanted, really. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about, and it felt worth sharing. See you soon.